Now, just on energy, I'm going to keep sharing with you what's happening in Europe, because this is the trauma we've only just begun to experience here. And if you want to see where we're headed, you can do no better than look at what's happening in Britain. It's making news all around the world.
Fuel prices are rising faster in Britain than anywhere else in Europe. By October, a typical family will be paying more than $4,000 a year. That's why Simon Howard started Don't Pay UK to resist rising costs. He blames energy companies and their substantial profits for the rising prices.
The surge in energy prices is predicted in this country is such that people were already planning this as a form of action.
Howard has appealed online for 1 million pledges from energy users to stop paying their bills if energy companies raise their prices on October 1st. 100,000 people have already signed up. It's why so many Europeans are worried about a coming winter of discontent.
Yeah, the winter of their discontent indeed. Now, there's more than one reason, of course, for the energy crisis. You've heard people there blaming profiteering, which is the typical leftist response, I suppose. But if that's happening, then governments should be preventing it. And there's no doubt the Ukraine war and the impact on Russian gas supplies and prices is a factor that's exacerbating Europe's pain. But in the main, the problem is that most European nations have retired too much baseload generation, mainly coal, of course, and they've pushed too hard on boosting renewable energy. It can't do the job and simply never will unless there's an unthinkable breakthrough in effective and efficient electricity storage. So the trouble is that because of the renewables focus, Europe now needs more gas, and it needs it badly, and the price is sky high. Britain, of course, got out of coal early and switched to North Sea gas. Have a look at this energy profile from overnight UK time. You see there that gas in the orange is supplying 2/3 of their electricity, more than 20% coming from nuclear plants too. Wind was only supplying 5 or 6%, and solar, none, of course. Billions spent on renewables for relatively little, sometimes no, dispatchable power. And have a look at the personal price the POMs are paying.
Come winter, Brian and Barbara say they'll live in their lounge, heating just one room, their answer to rising energy bills.
I usually put an extra jumper on or socks or something like that, you know, or woolly jogging trousers, anything to sort of keep me a bit warmer.
Brian even sleeps on the sofa.
Yeah, this Sky UK report focuses on the health impacts and the likely pressure on hospitals as they deal with another winter with COVID.
If we add into that more people who are unable to heat their homes, we'll also see more people getting sick and we'll see more demand. And that is going to be a problem for the health service, for all of us who use the health service.
And it's even tougher for those with chronic long-term illness. Tammy Prescott has incurable stomach cancer.
So with the chemo, you get really cold and you feel the cold. And I'm not a cold person normally. I'm quite a hot-blooded person, so it's never bothered me before. But now, looking at it, it's a case of, well, I know I'm going to have the heating on.
Just a terrible situation. It's going to get worse, and we'll keep an eye on it for sure. And other countries in Europe are suffering too, of course. The more they've gone down the renewables path, the more they're suffering. Again, the Russian gas issue is playing a role, but the real vulnerability comes from the renewables push. I showed you last week how Spain has demolished most of its coal-fired power and is now being caught short. Germany too has been rushing down the renewables path, but now has been mugged by reality.
In Europe, it's lights out at major monuments and tourist attractions as a long, hot summer gives way to what officials worry could be a bitterly cold winter. Some in Germany are taking matters into their own hands with solutions that might look like a blast from the past. About 2 hours outside Berlin, residents of this small town have turned to wood chips for fuel. We have to be innovative, said the project's organizer. If we don't act and just rely on the government to solve the crisis, we'll never succeed. This burner will soon fuel most of this village of 60 people. But policymakers are taking notice. France will start turning off lights this fall and imposing tough restrictions, what Macron calls energy sobriety. Germans are already facing restrictions and are showing their anger. Like these jeers when Germany's chancellor tried to address the topic. German domestic intelligence agencies are already warning of a winter of rage should extremist parties exploit the price increase for protests and violence.
One European country is pretty well insulated from all of this, of course, and that's France, because it relies on nuclear. It has reliable, emissions-free power from nuclear plants supplying 70% or more of its energy needs, and it's looking to build more. The sooner it can crank up its capacity, the sooner it'll be able to make more money by supplying its European neighbours with more electricity exports. Yet in Australia, what are we doing? We continue to reject nuclear power. In fact, there are laws against it in this country. And we continue to push for increasing investments in renewable energy, which will force more reliable power to the wall and will only increase our pain. We need our politicians to look closely at Europe.